Retirement. That's what we're all aiming at, right? But exactly what does that mean? It conjures up visions of endless days of golf, drinks with little umbrellas in them on a tropical beach, feet up reading a book. Is that what it's all about? I don't think so. Life would get pretty dull after a while without anything meaningful to do, don't you think? I'm Jacquie Doucette, and I'm on a mission to discover exactly what life is like beyond retirement. Join me while I chat with people who've already done it, who've retired to something rather than from something. Let's find out together exactly what's waiting for us when we say goodbye to that 9-to-5. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Beyond Retirement. I'm your host, Jacquie Doucette. And I've talked a lot about finding a purpose in retirement and what you're going to do with your life. But if you've ever tried to answer the question, so what do you want to do now? And your mind goes completely blank, you're not alone. Hopefully, by the end of this episode, you'll have a simple method to use to generate real options for your next chapter without needing to know your purpose or reinvent your whole life. A lot of people reach retirement and discover something really surprising. It's not the lack of time that's hard, it's the lack of structure. When the job disappears, the calendar opens up, and suddenly you're expected to fill it with meaning. In my recent conversation with Norman Calvo, he shared an exercise that sounds simple, but it's really powerful. Take an hour to write down 10 things you'd like to do in the next 10 years. Not 10 things you should do, not 10 things that make you look impressive, just 10 things that feel interesting, energizing, or even slightly curious. Today I'm going to walk you through how to do that, especially if you feel like you don't have any ideas, or you're worried you'll pick the wrong things. First, let's talk about why we go blank in this situation. It's frustrating, isn't it? You didn't suddenly lose your imagination. You've been using it over the years for responsibilities. As the years go by, most of us trained ourselves to be practical, efficient, and reasonable. But retirement asks for a different muscle, the possibility muscle. It takes some time to retrain yourself to think about what could be, because you're always filtering out what you should do, what's practical to do, what's reasonable to do. So if your brain is blank, it doesn't mean you're boring. It usually means you've been responsible for a long time. Give yourself a pat on the back for looking after everything for all those years, and take a deep breath before letting all of that responsibility go. Next, let's talk about the rules for the 10 and 10 list, because there are always rules. The list isn't a contract. You're allowed to deviate from it if you want to. You're allowed to change things. You're not choosing your identity today. You're simply generating options. The bottom line is that it's a menu, not a marriage. You can select from it as you wish. To make things easier, let's use the 3-category approach. You're going to create 3 mini lists with a total of 10 items. First, you'll have 3 try-it-out items. These are things that have low commitment potential. A class, a club, a workshop, a volunteer shift somewhere. And then you're going to do 3 return-to-it items. These are things that you can reconnect with, something that you liked at 15 years old or 20 years old, or something that you paused over the decades while you did your job. And finally, 4 expand on it activities. These are things that stretch you a bit, something that feels a little bit edgy or not quite you, kind of like Norman taking singing. For example, your try-it-out items could be a beginner pickleball league, a community choir, a local history group, a photography walk. The return-to-it items could be painting, woodworking, writing, gardening, learning a language, things that you've done in the past. And expand on it could be joining a public speaking group, a hiking trip somewhere, taking dance lessons, performing, or mentoring someone. Now, if you really can't think of anything, you can borrow ideas. There's lots of places that you can look for ideas. You can Google interesting hobbies for retirees, or classes near me. You can ask ChatGPT, give me 30 ideas for a 65-year-old who likes blank and wants more community, or something like that. And you could look at local libraries on their bulletin boards. You can look at the community center in your neighborhood. You can check out the listings for your universities that are nearby. Just remember, borrowing ideas isn't cheating. It's how you restart the possibility engine in your mind. Okay, so I have a quick question for you now. Just based on what I've said, right now, if you had to write down just one thing on your 10 and 10 list, what would it be? Don't overthink it. Just write down the first thing that comes into your mind when you think of something you could do in the next 10 years. Okay, back to creating that list. After you've written down the 10 items in the 3 categories, choose 2 items that you're going to test for the next 14 days. A good way to start this is by choosing one social item, a community group or something that involves you with other people, and one skill or body type item. So learning something or something that involves movement, like the hiking group or something like that. And then for each of those things, define the smallest first step that you can take. That could be register for the activity, email the person in charge of the group, show up once to the activity, or watch an introductory video about whatever it is you're going to do. You don't need motivation at first. All you need is a step that's small enough to do, even on an average day. And that gets you going and gets you moving. So the next step is the after action review, how to know what fits properly, if it's something that you really want to do. After each 2-week experiment, answer these questions. Did I feel lighter or heavier afterwards? Did time move faster or slower while I was doing it? And finally, would I do it again next week? This helps keep you grounded in the actual experience rather than in the fantasy that could be evolving from it. So, if retirement has felt a little too quiet for you or a little too automatic, I want you just to remember this. You don't have to figure out the rest of your life today. You just have to generate a few possibilities and take one small step. So here's your challenge for this week. Create your 10 and 10 list. Sit down for an hour and do it. Pick 2 items and take the smallest next step within the next 48 hours. And if you want to share your list with me, just email me. I'd love to hear the list, because sometimes sharing something with someone else is the moment that it becomes real. Thanks for joining me today.
And that's it for this episode of Beyond Retirement. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Are you ready to start rocking your retirement? Head on over to www.beyondretirement.ca/rocking it and sign up to plan out your own roadmap for retirement. Don't wait till it's too late.